questions. So I wanted to get started by introducing myself. There's some people on here that I know, friends, family, but also some new names and faces. So we'll start by me letting you know who it is you're hearing from. My name is Nicolette. My friends and family call me Nikki. I'm 28 years old and I'm currently living in Los Angeles, where I teach yoga. I host workshops where I incorporate yoga asana, meditation, and Reiki. And I'm also a Reiki practitioner. And I'm going to get into all of that and what that means soon. And I chose to do this webinar mainly because I wanted to reach a wider audience. I'm originally from the East Coast, so I have friends and family back at home who are always like, we'd love to come to your workshops or see what you're doing. But obviously I do all of that in LA, so this was kind of my chance to not only reach all of my loved ones back on the East Coast, but then just anyone outside of LA in general. So the reason I chose to make the overarching theme of this series, Reiki and meditation, is because those two practices have completely changed my life and allowed me to awaken my intuition, to fully realize my passion, and therefore make my passion my purpose. And I would love to share how to do that, how to live mindfully, how to incorporate these practices that are so powerful. And I thought it was a really great place, the digital realm, so I can be with all of you and do it in this way. So I'm so, so, so grateful. And I wanted to also kind of share my story, my journey, not so much so, but just a little bit. I think it's nice and it's also important when you can kind of hear how someone has found success or they're able to utilize a tool to help themselves. Hearing how someone is able to do that kind of, either justifies it or helps us maybe become intrigued or drawn to it if we know that it has worked before. So as I mentioned, I'm from the East Coast, and after college, I moved to New York, where I was living a seemingly fulfilled life. I have a lot of friends that live in New York. My family is close by. I had a great job in fashion PR. But something started to feel off, I would say. And for the first 3 or 4 years that I was living there, I was very fulfilled. My life was very joy-filled. But around the age of 25, 26 or so, I started to feel a shift. Something started to feel, the only word I can describe it is off. And around the same time, a really close friend of mine told me that she was going to do a health coach training. It was 1 year, all online. And due to health struggles I had been dealing with for years, which I'm not going to get into now for the sake of time, but due to all of that, I was drawn to take this course because I thought, you know what, at the end of the day, I can just learn maybe something to help myself. I don't need to make a career out of it or anything like that. I can just do this for me. So I embarked on this journey of becoming a health coach in this online program. And at the end of the program, part of our requirements was to be on these group calls. And we were paired with people all over the country because it was an online training. And on the group calls, we were sort of meant to talk about what we wanted to do after the training and support one another to take that next step. And I was very unsure of what I wanted to do with the training. As I said, I kind of just went for it, not really knowing what I wanted out of it. And it just so happened that one of the women on my call, in my group, she was also in the training, is a meditation coach. And she heard the uncertainty in my voice, heard how I was very confused, not really sure where I wanted to take this. And so after the course had ended, her name is Erin. Erin reached out to me and said, I could hear that you are a little unsure of what your next step is, and I'd love to help you out. She told me how she uses meditation to help her clients gain clarity. And that clarity could be around anything. I mean, it wasn't necessarily clarity around your career. It could just be clarity around anything in your life that you maybe needed guidance around. And to be fully transparent with you, at the time, I was not meditating. I was living a very sort of fast-paced lifestyle. Some refer to it as like autopilot. And, I was kind of addicted to that hustle grind mentality. I was really fortunate, like I said, to have a lot of friends that live in New York. So I had a packed social calendar. I wasn't even really doing much yoga at the time. I was doing more high intensity workouts like SoulCycle. And so when I heard from her, I wasn't that excited. I was kind of intimidated, I should say. But there was a part of me that was really drawn to what she was offering and drawn to her. And so just sort of like the health coach training, I was like, why not? Why not try something like this out? What's the worst thing that can happen? It's 8 sessions, it's 8 weeks, it's not the end of the world. And that was back in April of 2016 that I started working with Erin, and I still work with her to this day. She is still my meditation coach. And it was through the practices of meditation and my work with Erin that I was able to fully realize my passion of yoga, of mindfulness, and eventually Reiki. And it was through my work with Erin and through the meditation work that I was able to gain the strength and the courage to then pursue my passion and make it my purpose. So that being said, I'd love to get into what meditation is. Meditation is a technique that teaches us we are not our thoughts. Instead, it allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment. It's pretty heavy stuff, I know. And especially for someone like me, I suffer from anxiety, so I am very good at letting my thoughts take over. So this was a big one for me. And a lot of people say that meditation quiets the mind. Now, I don't totally disagree with this statement. I do agree with that, but I just like to be a little bit weary, because when people hear that, I think a lot of people assume that meditation is going to turn off our thoughts and sort of have us sit there in a blank state of consciousness. And that's just not true. Thoughts are always going to naturally come into our minds, and that's okay. What meditation does is teaches us to observe the thoughts, just like a passing cloud or a passing car. And therefore, we do not allow the thoughts to sort of overtake us, if that makes sense. Once again, we have this chat feature here. You can unmute yourself. So at any time, if something's sounding crazy or it's not making sense, please feel free to chime in. But I'll continue. So meditation, it's the foundation of a lot of spiritual practices and traditions, and now is becoming the topic of a lot of scientific inquiry, which is amazing. And it's been proven that meditation changes the brain waves to go from beta to an alpha and theta state, promoting a deeper sense of relaxation. Scientific studies have also shown that meditation can help with stress, anxiety, sleep, focus, memory, emotional stress, self-awareness. It can lengthen your attention span. It can generate more kindness and compassion, and has even been proven to help reduce pain. Really powerful stuff here. And with meditation, generally comes this word mindfulness. And I think that mindfulness is quite the buzzword these days. I know I personally use the word a lot. If you follow me on Instagram or read my newsletter or my blog, I definitely use the word a lot. But it's an important one, so I just want to touch on it quickly. Mindfulness is defined as the act of being present and fully engaged in whatever it is you are doing, without distraction or judgment. It is not only about being mindful of your thoughts and actions towards others, but it's also about being mindful of those thoughts and words and actions towards yourself. And we train ourselves to be more mindful through meditation. So in teaching that we are not our thoughts, we can live more presently and mindfully to be fully engaged, so not getting caught up in distractions or judgments, and also not being reactive to challenging situations. So I'll give you a few examples. So being more mindful and more present can be as simple as, being fully present with your partner when cooking dinner, or being fully present on this webinar right now, or when you're sitting in that meeting with your boss, not thinking about the workout you're doing or happy hour or whatever it is you're doing that weekend, being fully present, aware, and engaged. And then taking that a step further, it's also how you react, maybe, to the curveballs that life can throw at you. And these can be really big situations or really small. So it can be something as big as, a tragedy, or something as small as getting elbowed on the subway or cut off in your car. And what meditation and mindfulness would do for you in those situations is heighten your level of self-awareness, so you can respond to the situation more mindfully and not be as reactive, if that makes any sense. And it's not to say that we're not human, and it's not to say that we're not going to get upset and frustrated. No, I would never recommend suppressing any emotions. Anyone that knows me knows I'm all about feeling everything. But it allows us to feel as though we have the power to choose how we allow the situation to affect us for the long term, if that makes more sense. And so to bring it back to you, to the self, with meditation allowing us to disconnect from our thoughts, or if anyone here practices yoga, the ego, the mind, by disconnecting from that, we're able to create space to listen to our inner voice and feel into our truest self or intuition, which is where that heightened level of self-awareness comes from, right? And we've all felt our intuition before. I mean, I'm sure each and every one of you have had butterflies in your stomach, or a gut feeling about something like, ooh, I don't feel like that guy is right for me, or I'm not sure that this is the right job, or I feel like I should make a right turn here. I mean, sometimes all of a sudden I'll feel as though something takes over, and I'm sure you've all experienced this. And then after the situation unfolds and plays out, you think to yourself, oh my God, I knew that all along. I felt that. That's so weird. Well, it's not that weird. It's your intuition. And it's really, really amazing. And it's so, so, so powerful. And what meditation does is exercises that intuitive muscle. Because just like your physical muscles, your intuition is also a muscle that can be strengthened through meditation. And just like you can't go to the gym just once and get abs, you cannot just meditate. It's about creating that daily practice, that consistency, to continue to strengthen that intuition. And the more and more you strengthen it, and the deeper you go into this work, what ends up happening is pure magic. I mean, sometimes that's how I truly feel. I truly feel as though it's magic, and you can just really feel into something greater at work here. And I experienced it firsthand with recognizing my passion and my purpose, but I even experience this magic on a daily basis in small ways. So one moment, I'm seeing that there's background noise. Is that better? Yeah, I think that's better. Thank you, guys. So back to the magic. No. I was saying, yes, you can see it in bigger ways, which, as I mentioned, I saw with finding my passion, but then in smaller ways, like I had said before, sometimes you sort of just get this gut feeling about something, and it could be as small as, I don't feel like I should go to that dinner tonight. And then you find out someone was there that you just didn't really feel like seeing. So it can be big and small. And so to me, it's just following your intuition, tapping into your intuition is just another way to live mindfully. Being mindful of what it is you truly desire. And so that being said, I'd like to share another way that I have learned to strengthen my intuitive muscle, which is through Reiki. And I know Reiki is kind of new agey. A lot of people aren't really sure what it is. And so I'm really excited to be here with you all and share more about what Reiki is. So Reiki is a Japanese healing modality that works to bring the body's energy into balance and promote more harmony. It's a tool to achieve health, well-being, balance, and spiritual fulfillment. It's said to be discovered by a Japanese monk in the early 1900s. So right there, you can kind of see how it's not that old of a practice. I mean, yoga's been around for centuries, and Reiki is definitely a bit newer, comparatively speaking. And Reiki, so the Rei, R-E-I, means God's wisdom or higher power. And the Ki, the K-I, means life force energy. So Reiki as a word means spiritually guided life force energy, or also known as universal life force energy. And there is science to this, and I don't want to butcher these next few phrases and sentences because it's fact and it's kind of a lot to take in. So I'm going to read, so excuse me looking down. But Einstein proved that we are all energy, right? And scientifically, Reiki is the biophoton, or light, emission conducted from one organic species to another. Reiki is from the light of lights, and light is science. Reiki balances the recipient's disturbances in their body's bioenergy field. And as I mentioned, Einstein proved everything, including our bodies, is composed of energy. So in other words, Reiki is working with life force energy to bring the body back to balance and harmony. And the practitioner uses their palm chakras to do this and to emit this energy. And Reiki works within the 7 main chakras to heal our beings on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So an important thing to remember, and my biggest takeaway from my Reiki training, and a reason I fell so in love with this healing modality, is that this energy, this healing energy, is within all of us. We all have the ability to tap into Reiki. We all have the Reiki within us. It's just being open to and knowing how to do it. So I'd actually like to show you all what I mean really quickly. We are going to go through a longer meditation at the end, but for right now, I would just like all of you, and it's kind of hard because I can't see you guys, so I'm just going to trust you're all going to do this, to, if you can, if you're not driving, if you're home, close your eyes for a moment and just find a comfortable seated position. And bring your hands in front of your chest so your palms are facing one another, just a few inches apart. And just take a moment here to relax the shoulders, relax your arms, and relax your hands. And just start to feel any sensation between your two palms. And now slowly bring the hands further apart from one another. And slowly bring the hands back towards one another. Not letting the palms touch, but just feeling any sensation without judgment, just observing. And now slowly lower your hands back down onto your lap. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, let it go. And then gently blink the eyes open. So that right there, whatever it is you may have felt, was the universal life force energy. That is your Reiki. And it's not getting too caught up in whether or not what you're feeling was right or wrong, or how you were doing it was right or wrong. It's more so trusting. And once again, not allowing the thoughts to overtake or get in the way. Instead, disconnecting from the thoughts and giving yourself the opportunity to feel. And before we get into the meditation portion of the webinar, I just wanted to speak a little bit about sort of how to meditate. Because I know when I first started meditating, that was a big thing that I would think about. I'm very type A. I like to do things the right way. I'm very concerned about that usually. So I was always like, am I doing this right? Am I breathing right? Am I, not paying attention to my thoughts the right way? I would get very caught up in how I was meditating. And so I want to just let you guys know it's not about that. There are so many ways to meditate. There are so many meditation techniques. I personally found a great connection to visualization meditations. That's what Erin, my meditation coach, does a lot. And I really liked that. Sitting there, closing my eyes and just breathing didn't work for me at first. My mind was way too good at taking over that it was very hard for me to just observe my thoughts, that I needed a little bit more than just focusing on my breath. There's also a ton of breathwork practices. There's, transcendental meditation. There's so much out there. And it's just a matter of being open to and finding what works for you. And I think it's also a matter of being flexible with yourself, right? So it would be great if we could have the same meditation routine every single day and life never got in the way and we were always just, there was never a curveball, but that's not the reality. I'm sure most of you travel, maybe some of you have kids, probably most of you have really demanding jobs. So it's unrealistic to expect that, just like I'm sure you don't do the exact same workout every single day at the exact same time for the exact same amount of time. It's the same thing with the meditation practice. So just be gentle with yourself whenever you start to embark on this journey, if you so choose to do so. And just know that any effort counts. There are days I meditate for 2 minutes, and there's days I meditate for 45 minutes. Most of the time I incorporate journaling. Sometimes I put on music to meditate to. Sometimes I listen to guided meditations on apps, or there's so much content, thanks to like YouTube and things like Aloe Moves and apps like Calm and Headspace. So if this is something you're interested in, just be open to exploring and be patient and gentle with yourself at first. And just know that there's no right or wrong way. And so as we move through our meditation together right now, just trust that whatever it is you're feeling is correct, whatever it is you're doing is correct. It's all completely divinely guided and perfect as it is. There's nothing you have to force or control. If anything, it's about letting go of that control, which I'll remind you, I'm very type A. So for me to be saying this is a very big deal. And I promise it's possible if this sounds crazy. And I hope everyone can see me. I think everyone can see me. But I just want to show you guys a couple of things before we get into the meditation, so you're really able to get out of your heads. So just now when I asked you guys to bring your palms in front of your chest facing one another, I meant like this. So don't worry so much if, just make sure your palms are facing each other. If your fingers are out or up, just do whatever feels natural to you. And that's sort of feeling into your energy ball, right? And then during the meditation, I'm going to ask you to have your palm chakras face your heart chakra. And so your hands can either be like this. You can even, if touch is something you relate to and connect to, you can even place your hands on your chest. They can be side by side. There's no right or wrong way, as long as your palm chakras are facing your heart chakra, which is in the center of your chest. And the reason I chose to do a meditation that involved the heart chakra this evening is because we don't have so much time to hit every single chakra, and the heart is at the center. It's said to be the bridge between the lower three and the upper three. And to me, I always find so much joy in tapping into my heart chakra. I find so much fulfillment tapping into my heart chakra. There's so much information there. And to welcome more love, open yourself up to more love, and whatever that means for you, I think is a beautiful thing and is a win-win overall. So I'm really excited to take you guys through this quick little meditation. I'm being very mindful of the time because I know everyone has busy schedules. But before we get started in the meditation, oh good, there was a question. Oh, what is a chakra? Great question. Chakras are energy centers. So we have 7 chakras: the crown, third eye, the throat, the heart, sacral, solar plexus, and root. So I'm sure I will be doing an episode or call soon on chakras and more about that. But that's sort of a quick rundown, and they're energy centers. So by tapping into these energy centers, we're able to remove blockages or any imbalances and bring more harmony to that chakra. And each chakra is also related to surrounding organs as well. So, like I said, I really love working within the heart chakra when I'm kind of crunched for time, or if I have to choose one, because it is the bridge. It can I sort of think about how it can just spread to the other 6 above and below. But there's so many benefits to working within each or working within all 7. But yeah, and of course, if you were going through something in particular, there might be a chakra that's specifically related to that. So the heart chakra, for example, is related to obviously love and, human connection. And it's said that our heart relates to our limbs. It comes out through our arms. So how we are with others and welcoming others in. Our solar plexus, which is right at our bellies, is said to have a role in our power, our confidence. Throat chakra is said to govern communication. So when you start to read about them and learn more about them, it makes sense. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. I can't see anyone's reaction, so just feel free to hit me up on the chat. But are there any other questions before we get started? Okay. So now we're going to do our heart chakra meditation. It is a self-Reiki meditation. So what I will take you through right now is something you can do on your own and, fully have the ability to do this whenever and wherever you want. So go ahead and